All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of our podcast. Newly branded this time to Divine But Done. First time for everything, and we're gonna kick it off with an extremely cool and insane guest that we have on today. Um, and I honestly, I,
Insane in the good way. Insane in the good way.
insane in a good way, insane in an amazing way. For a little bit of context and background, Ashley actually is the one who connected with them and brought our guest on today. And so I was thinking, Ashley, if you could give a little bit of context into how you got to know Rickey, and what we're kind of expecting, how we want to flow through this right now.
So, fun fact, Mano, did you know that Ricky is a goaltender?
Really?
Yes.
I
Yes.
did not know that. Now it's starting to piece
Yes.
together. Starting to piece. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So, ball hockey goaltender, correct? And grew up in Montreal. Um, did you know that ChatGPT knows who you are?
For real?
Yes.
ChatGPT gave us a whole biography.
Listen, I just decided to accept AI this week.
Really?
Literally this week. I just took a four week crash course on
Okay.
on AI,
Wow.
and I'm like blown away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. But okay, to answer Manuel's question, because I discovered you, Ashley,
Yes, he
through
discovered me.
your dad.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of your dad and what he does, the mindset goalie. And I
Yes.
bought a book for myself. I bought a book for my homie, and I
hmm
lost my book. So I bought a third book for
hmm
myself. And your dad was going through some medical situations last year, and
Yes.
he posted a video
With me.
about
Yeah.
how you were helping him. And
Yeah.
that's how I got to know
Yeah.
you. So I started following you on social media. And then I saw that you had a podcast.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, oh snap, I really like I've on social media you guys always post these little snippets.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is some deep shit, man, that I really will like this is like stuff that I'm into.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I told Ashley, I was like, hey, I'd love to be in your podcast. And
Yeah.
that's how it
Well,
happened.
I reached out to you about the podcast because you have such a, I'd say, a diverse background in what you do. And that's why I brought up the chat GPT thing, because I know things from what you've told me and what I can find online, but I
Right.
went to chat GPT just to see what it would give me. I was like, okay, let's see what it gives me. And I said, who is Rickey Pageot? And it gave me a full rundown. I didn't know you'd worked with Cher in the past.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
crazy,
Share.
Donna.
There's a lot of people that I even forgot that I worked with,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is which is a blessing, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
I literally have to sometimes sit down and like, oh wow, yeah, I did that. I did do that back in 2012. I did do that back in 2014.
Yeah.
Because my main gigs, I always focus on my main gigs, and I'm blessed to just drop two names, and it's like,
Yeah.
who else do I need to mention? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
like Madonna and Christina Aguilera, like the two queens. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's a huge, it's it's a huge blessing. So
Yeah.
I tend to kind of forget who else I worked with after that. You know,
Well, I feel like
after
when
that is
you're
just bragging.
well, when you're doing so much too and you're working with so many different people, it probably feels like you're living many different lives sometimes, hey? Or like
Right.
you've lived many different lives.
Yeah, I do feel, and also feel like I'm living on borrowed time as well because
Yeah.
I've also almost lost my life many times for
Yeah.
medical reasons.
Wow. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so yeah, I suffer from I don't suffer. I mean, I have a blood disorder called sickle cell,
Okay. All right. Sorry.
and that brings up a lot of complications terms of my immune system.
hmm
Just getting sick all the time, like, and back in 20 8 years ago, I think, yeah, back in 2017, I think, yeah, back in 2017, I decided that I was tired of not relying, but just the medical system here in the US is not, it's horrible. I'll just say it straight up. It's horrible. And as a Canadian, you know, you're like, why do we have to go through this? You know what I'm saying? It could be just like any other system, like the rest of the world in developed countries.
Yeah.
So I just told myself, you know what? I'm gonna start not healing myself, but I'm gonna start doing things to prevent myself from getting sick. So
Yeah.
that's when I changed my diet to a vegan diet.
Yes, I saw that.
I stopped drinking for like 2 years. Actually stopped drinking back in 2015 for 2 years. I stopped drinking and I was just drinking water all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I still drink water all the time. I dropped orange juice. I dropped like all the juices, everything. Um, and I just decided to like, use food as medicine. Food is medicine.
Yeah.
So I just decided that I was going to do that for myself, for my body. And, 8 years later, I feel like I'm in my best health ever,
That's
ever.
amazing. That's amazing.
Hence the ball hockey.
Can I ask why you chose a vegan diet?
Um, well, for one, back then I had stopped drinking red meat.
Mm-hmm.
I had stopped eating red meat. We were like eating red meat maybe once a week.
Yeah.
And then I saw this Netflix documentary. No, even prior to that, my wife started touring with the guys from No Doubt without Gwen Stefani.
Okay.
They had started a new band called Dream Car.
Okay.
They were signed to Columbia Records. My wife was touring with them, and they're all vegan. The entire tour was vegan. And she was
Okay.
telling them about my medical situation. And they were like, your husband would be a lot better if he started a vegan diet.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay. We're like, okay. And then my wife and I looked at this documentary called What the Health on
Ah,
Netflix. And then that was like, just like that moment was like,
yeah, it solidified it for you.
yeah. And at the end of the documentary, we looked at each other as like, are you game? You game? Okay, cool.
So
And
you
then
both
that
are
was it.
vegan.
I'm still vegan. One of us fell off the bandwagon. No, she did because for women, I think from what I'm hearing, for women, I think it's a little bit more complicated. Blood types is a lot more.
We have
Uh,
specific iron needs too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe was it last year or 2 years ago? Maybe last year. After all this time, she decided to start eating meat a little bit because she was just like, yeah, iron deficient. But
Yeah.
when we're at home, she'll cook vegan meals for me here. She'll eat vegan,
Okay, that's nice.
plant-based food. But when we go out, I'll give her
Yeah.
a little side eye sometimes, but she knows I'm just teasing.
What do you think the biggest benefit from switching your diet has been? If there's like one thing.
Um,
Or what's the
for me,
most
I don't think
noticeable?
for me, I don't
Sorry.
think it's for me, I don't think it's immediate. I'm thinking of a long term. I'm thinking 10, 20 years down the line.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I'm really gonna say I'm already feeling better, but I'm thinking 10, 20 years down the line how
Yeah.
I'm gonna be feeling then. That's
Yeah.
what I'm concerned with,
Yeah.
you know. So I know not sacrifice. I know the changes that I'm making now, the habits that I'm building now will
Yeah.
help me exponentially 10,
Yeah.
20 years from now. And if you want to know about how I'm feeling now, I mean, I go to the doctors, they'll take my blood work and they'll be like, wow, this is like this is abnormal for someone with sickle cell. So I already know,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Feeling is a feeling, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I'd be playing ball hockey if I wasn't doing if I wasn't doing everything that I'm doing now for my health.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be
And
doing that. I don't think I'd be playing ball hockey, you know what I'm saying? So
that's amazing.
it's
That's
kind of a
amazing.
mind frame, so I can't really tell.
Yeah.
well, if I wasn't doing this, then I'd be like that. But I know that I'm able to do this
Yeah.
because of the habits that I'm building
Yeah.
for my body, for myself.
Yeah. 100%.
Could I ask how long ago did you get into ball hockey? And what, I guess,
This
what,
is what's crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, like, what, so when did you get into ball hockey and what was the deciding factor to get into it?
I used to play ball hockey when I was a kid in Montreal, in Côte d'Ivoire, uptown. And when my parents moved to the suburbs, all the kids in the suburbs were playing ice hockey. So I didn't get to play ball hockey since I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward, my wife and I moved to LA in 2008. 2019 or 2020, we're in Burbank. 2019 or 2020, I was on tour with Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife told me she just passed a park that had a rink. This is like in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And she's like, it looked like a hockey rink. I was like, what? I was in Europe somewhere. So I told her, like, do you know what the park, the name, the park name was? So I researched from Europe what this outdoor rink was about. And that's when I saw that they had a ball hockey rink, roller hockey and ball hockey rink in Burbank.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with the guy who runs it. I was like, when I get back from tour, I'm getting back in March 2020.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I'm gonna be all up in it. I don't have any equipment, but I used to play ball hockey when I was a kid.
Yeah.
March
I didn't
2020. Guess what happens?
COVID.
COVID.
The pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to wait a whole other year till 2021 to play my first ball hockey game, May 2021, which is
When
my
did you?
fourth anniversary now.
Oh, really? Oh, oh yeah, it's May. It's May.
Yeah.
Happy 4 years back into ball hockey.
Exactly.
So okay, if you hadn't played since you were a kid and you only got back into it 4 years ago, question, when did you come across my dad with Goalie Mindset Secrets?
Ooh. Oh, I gotta look into Amazon and see when I bought the book. But it's been
Okay.
at least 2 years. It's been at least 2 years because yeah, it's been at least 2 years because I bring that book even on tour. And my last tour with Madonna, I brought that book with me, and I think that's where I
Really?
lost it.
Wow.
Yeah, because this is the
Maybe
thing
Madonna
about
stole it.
maybe she did. Oh my God, I did not think of that.
So
I'm gonna
now
call her up. So
I'm
this
so,
is what's crazy.
yeah.
This is what's crazy about reading your dad's book and the whole
Yeah.
mindset thing.
Yeah.
I bought the book to be a better goaltender, but at the same time, it made me a better piano performer as well.
Really.
I use the same thing that your dad writes in terms of mindset, visualizing,
Mm-hmm.
um, positive thinking,
Yeah.
putting positive affirmations in your mind instead of negative. It's very easy for us to say negative things here in our own minds.
Yeah.
But oh man, I love this. I love this chapter of your dad when he says our minds are actually like super
Yeah.
powerful, where you could trick your
Supercomputer.
mind, supercomputers, where you could trick your mind into things, to thinking that you're doing something.
Yeah.
That whole chapter when he says like there was a survey done. Some guys visualized, some guys actually did the activity, and some guys
The
didn't actually do
23%
anything.
rule.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the guys who visualized it, or versus the guys who actually did the activity, it was like 1 or 2% difference,
Yeah.
improvement.
The ones who visualized, they improve just visualized strictly improved 23%. I
Yeah.
think the ones who visualized and played, or was it just played?
Just
Because
played.
when you're playing, you're visualizing no matter what,
Yeah,
right? I think it was 25%. I forget,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the guys did nothing, obviously didn't improve.
Didn't improve. Yeah,
But yeah, so strictly just from visualizing, improving
yeah.
23%.
So a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff I use for my piano playing, and it's made me a better performer. a
Yeah.
better piano performer.
Wow.
Because,
Wow.
like I said, it's so easy for us to instill fear. It's so easy for us to be stressed about things that haven't even happened yet. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Why are you going to be worried about something that hasn't even happened yet?
exactly. You know what? That's something that like I try to remind myself as much as possible, and also the people around me when they're stressed is when you're stressing about something or worrying, you're kind of worshiping the problem, but you're also
Yeah,
putting yourself through it more than once,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
things
exactly.
happen
Yeah,
up here before they happen in reality. And if
yeah.
you're
And you
sitting there
just,
dragging yourself through it, you're putting yourself through it, what, 10 times before it even happens, and you don't even know what the outcome's
yeah,
gonna
that's a great way to see it. Yeah. And you're
be.
just
Yeah.
setting this, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. I actually, my dad told me a story the other day, and I don't know who they were talking about, but he was talking to a client, and the client had been meeting up with someone who was like a former Olympic athlete. And I guess going to the heading towards the Olympics, this would have been around the time that Facebook became a thing. He was heading towards the Olympics, and he had almost like FOMO because he saw all his friends posting on Facebook, right? And so
Hmm.
the whole time he was heading there, he was thinking about going home, and he just wanted to go home and be with his friends and whatever. And then he got like, as soon as he got there, he got into an accident and hurt his back or something. And so instead of participating in the Olympics, he had to go home. And he says that he thinks the reason why he ended up getting into that accident was because he was so focused on going home that it almost like manifested,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
it's crazy how if you pay attention to the way that you're thinking and you pay attention to that stuff, how things actually align.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also,
if you
I don't know
think
if
about
you know this, but Mano and I last year we did a fire walk with my dad.
it,
So we walked over hot coals, and what you're supposed to do, Mano, do you remember what he said? We were supposed to trick our brains into believing that we were walking over
yeah,
ice.
it's ice. It's cold. It's cold. It's so
Yeah,
cold. As you
yeah.
walk across, it's like 1200 degrees Celsius, these coals, and you are walking across them. And I cannot lie, I did not feel heat when I walked by it. Like
Me
it,
neither.
but there was fire. Like the coals were red hot on fire, and we did not feel anything walking over them.
Yeah.
It was like
So
just
just by telling yourself that you're walking on ice, you tricked
You
your
just
mind
go
to
ice
think,
cold, ice
yeah,
cold, ice cold.
ice cold, and you walk over them, and it was like we went the entire way. I remember I looked at my feet afterwards. I was like, "There's no way they're not burned," and
Yeah.
they weren't burned. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow,
Like
and,
obviously you're not going to be standing on the hot coals and just chilling there, right? That's different. You have to walk at a certain pace, but yeah, I agree with Mano. I didn't feel anything. Like it
wow.
didn't feel like anything because we were so focused on just
Yeah,
getting to the other side, I guess, and saying the ice cold. So, yeah,
wow.
your brain it is truly a supercomputer.
Yeah,
and it shows you like, right, if you live in the past, you're depressed. If you live in the future, you're anxious, and if you live in the present, you are present. That's why it's called
yeah.
the present. It's a gift.
It's a
Um,
gift.
but Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda, I still but I'm like just through this conversation, obviously you can tell that we're all just vibing around this mindset. I love how in depth you are on all the mindset jazz because like me and Ashley, that's our entire
Said
thing. And
mindset jazz.
the mindset jazz, exactly. There we go. Hey, and you know what? I think that Pete, you need to make sure Pete listens to this afterwards because Pete, I think would absolutely love to hear
Oh,
everything you're talking
I
about.
agree. I agree.
But also, I want to learn more about Ricky, like about you yourself. So, would you be able to take us back before all the world tours and the music? Who were you before you were doing all these crazy things with all these crazy artists?
I was a troublemaker. I just told my wife I had a friend visit me this weekend from Montreal. I've known her since I was 9, so fourth grade or something. And I think we were just reminiscing on how we met. And I thought I told my wife already, but I revealed that I got kicked out of another school and then got to this school, and that's how I met my current friend, Karen. And then my wife looked at me like, "You got kicked out of school?" I was like, "Babe, you don't know half. I was a troublemaker, man. Oh my God. I'd be like in like principal's office almost every week, just getting like suspended, not suspended for days, but just like being held, after school. And my number one go-to excuse was, but I got a piano lesson I have to go to. They didn't care. My piano lesson. Fun fact, since I'm speaking to Canadians,
Yeah.
my piano teacher was the same piano teacher as Justin Trudeau.
Oh, really?
Oh,
His lesson was right before mine.
Really?
So I'd see him every week.
Wow.
that's crazy.
So he was
That's
Wow.
maybe like 6 years older than me or something.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
a teenager. I was like 9 years old.
Yeah, I guess he was a drama teacher, so he was in the arts, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
so. At what point did you get into music? Like, when did you learn that was your passion?
Well, my dad, my whole family is, I come from a family of musicians. So my dad is a bass player. My big brother is a flute player, classically trained flute player.
Hmm.
Um, so already I was in music. My first instrument was a guitar when I was 6. Didn't like it. Crazy thing is I used to spend a lot of my summers in New York City. All my whole family, all my relatives, cousins, whatever, they're all in New York, all 5 boroughs. And I used to go to my cousin's place in the Bronx, and they had started piano lessons.
Okay.
And then they would go and play baseball. I'd stay back and I saw one of their sheet music, their piano sheet music. They had a little keyboard. I knew how to read music already. So I would learn their songs while they were out playing baseball.
Hmm.
That was my introduction to piano.
Wow.
And then I went back home in Montreal and I told my mom, I want to learn how to play the piano. And that's when a friend of my big brother's referred us to that piano teacher. She was a nun. And
Okay.
that's the same piano teacher Justin Trudeau was going to.
Okay. Wow.
So from there, she prepared me to go to a performing arts school
Hmm.
where
I
we
saw
had,
you went to McGill.
and I went to McGill. So I went to that performing arts school, Pialapoft. I went to Vanier after that, and then I graduated from jazz performance at McGill.
Wow.
Um, cool. Crazy thing is, since we're talking about, manifesting and all that, my dad asked me when I was a kid, when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, because at first I just wanted to become a music therapist.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then I heard how much or how little music therapists make. I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's what I was told. I was told they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's a music therapist.
What is the music? It's basically therapy through music, through sound, through music. You
Ah,
can heal people. Well, music is healing, but you could
I was
actually
gonna
like
say, yeah.
music is already healing within itself.
Yeah.
But music therapy, you can heal people through sound.
ah.
So I was really intrigued by that. But that my mom was so happy because she was like, "Oh, cool, he's not gonna be like getting himself tired and being late all night, playing in bars, because again, going back to my sickle cell, because
Yeah. Okay.
when
Yeah.
you
That
have sickle cell, you have a certain lifestyle that you can't do. And again, it goes back to my cousins going out and playing baseball, and I had to stay back because I couldn't do that when I was a kid
okay.
because I'd get sick automatically.
Wow.
Going the second I came out of a swimming pool, if I would go to a public swimming pool, I'd get sick right away.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play soccer. My dad was like, "No, you get scars on your feet, on your legs when you play soccer." But that was just an excuse because at a certain point, parents they get, they feel they don't want to tell you you can't do everything because of your
Yeah, because then that also becomes imprinted in your head no matter what you do.
exactly. So you can't do anything.
Wow.
So going back to my dad asked me, "What do I want to do in life?" This is like later on. I think I was in college or something when I decided. I said I want to be an internationally known touring musician. I had already put it out there to the universe that that's what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
manifesting.
Yeah.
And manifesting is something that I've always done since I was a kid. And everything that I manifested, well, I don't know about everything, but I'm saying like a lot of things that I manifested. Like when we first moved to LA, Live Nation has their head office. And in order to become, a touring artist, Live Nation does practically all the tours. And I told myself, I just parked my car in front of that building and I said, one day I'm going to walk into that building and have a meeting. And I did have a meeting. I had a meeting with, unrelated to touring, but I had a meeting with Jay-Z's right-hand man. Um, I can't remember his name right now, but he runs Rock Nation. I had a
Okay.
meeting with him. Didn't get what I was looking for, but at least at least I walked into that building.
Yeah.
So manifestation is something that, to go back to your question, Mano, as a kid, I always manifested what I wanted. I always manifested what I wanted. The
Wow.
power of attraction is something that I've been doing for the last 30 years. It's just like, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it still works to this day.
Yeah. Well, everything is energy, right? Everything's energy.
Yep.
What you put out is what comes back
What you
to
put
you.
out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love that you said that though. You're explaining this and you're explaining your story, and I see so much passion behind it. And I love the sense where you control your own destiny, you control your own thoughts, which is why you're able to control the outcomes, right? And so that through manifesting, through your brain, through what we were talking about before with visualization, like all of them play a part. And I think it's so powerful to just see how it manifests even in your, life, because as you are very accomplished with all of the stuff you do, all the people you've worked with, all the things you've done. And so it just goes to show everyone that's listening that you can really accomplish anything if you really just put your mind in the direction that you want to go and you figure out that goal and you just go
Yeah,
towards.
because once you do that, the universe will align everything. The universe will align everything that will help you to get to that goal.
Yeah. You just gotta have your eyes open to it, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how did you, so you said, when did you move to LA? I know you live
20
Vegas now, but when did you move to LA?
2008, 2008.
Okay.
So 2006, I was touring with Cirque du Soleil in 2006,
Okay.
and this was my first US tour. I had never toured the US. All the tours that I had done before was in Europe.
Yeah.
Were in Europe. So this was my first US tour. And here's another crazy story. Um, Everyone at the Cirque du Soleil. So Live Nation was part of that Cirque du Soleil. It was a collaboration. This is the first time Cirque du Soleil was doing a touring arena show, and they
Okay.
hired Live Nation to promote it, to produce it.
Hmm.
So a lot of the people who were working on that Cirque du Soleil show were from the rock and roll touring, you know, medium. So
Yeah.
a lot of them had toured with the biggest stars, including Justin Timberlake, which when Justin came out, he was my like dream gig. I so wanted to tour with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
So people in the Cirque du Soleil in the tour camp, they knew that. So when we got to Florida, the MD for Justin's band came to the show.
Um,
So I got to meet him before the show backstage. And I was like, "Oh my God, I love your work." You know what I'm saying? I watched your shows. Every morning before I went to school, I was watching Justin's show because Justin had like he had a special. He had a special called I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a club special. It wasn't like an arena special. It was like it's the same songs, but like just like completely different vibe. It was a club vibe. So I used to watch that every morning because the arrangement was so ridiculous, the musical arrangements. So, anyways, I stayed in touch with that MD. And when I moved to LA in 2008, I let him know that I moved to LA if he needed, because he lives in Florida. So I let him know, hey, if you need anything, if you need me, whatever, I'm done with my cert contract. I moved to LA. I'm ready for touring, whatever pops up. 3 months later, after 3 months after I moved to LA, I got a call to do Madonna.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was rest is history. I mean, I still work with her to this day.
Yeah. How being a pianist, or would you call yourself a pianist?
Yeah,
What
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
pianist, yeah.
Okay.
That's a
How
good question because there is pianists, there's keyboardists, and there's organists. All three are different.
yeah. What how is it? Can you take us through like a gig for you? Like how does it look for you? Like a day in the life of Rickey.
Right.
How does that feel? What does that look like? What kind of habits do you need to keep in place to keep yourself ready during like high pressure situations? What is that like for you?
Hmm. I mean, a day in a life for me is staying sharp, practicing, being ready for the next opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, Even so far deep into my career, I'm still getting gigs that challenge me a lot. Like I just did a gig last year that involved playing in an orchestra at the Disney Hall.
Wow.
And these are like compositions written by Black women. One of them was Patrice Rushen.
Okay.
Patrice Rushen, if people don't know who Patrice Rushen, she wrote Forget Me Nots. She's known for that kind of stuff, the pop stuff. But
Okay.
she wrote some amazing, amazing orchestra work. And a lot of that stuff, oh my God, it brought me back to school days. Because
Yeah.
I was like, everything that I learned in school just like came back to my brain. I was like, oh my God, I haven't played complex music like
Yeah.
this in like since I was in school.
Yeah.
So it's just about staying sharp, staying healthy, staying youthful.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just like, I'm just trying to defy age. I'm just trying to defy aging
Yeah.
and just like just like, you know, being in the moment, being present, like you said. And when I go on tour, the biggest challenge for me on tour is being vegan on tour because
Really?
not all cultures are the same. Not
No.
all cultures even accept that. Not all, I go to France, Paris. That's the worst. They are the worst. I'm sorry. You go to
Really?
Paris and then you tell them vegan, they're like, vegan, c'est quoi ça? Yeah. They
C'est
look at
quoi
you like,
ça?
it's poison. And no, 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 on n'a pas ça ici. It's like, you know, but you go to the other cultures where you wouldn't expect it, you thinking it's meat. I was in Portugal and everyone was saying, oh, you're gonna have a hard time in Portugal because it's all meat over there, churrascaria and all that stuff. I went there was a vegan restaurant in almost every street corner in
Really?
Portugal. So you never
Wow.
know what to expect. Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge for me nowadays. The other, everything else is just a matter of like trying to keep the same habits
Hmm.
that I have at home. Waking up, working out, eating healthy.
Yeah.
Um, it's being on the road is super hard. Like
Yeah.
the general public get to see all the the glitz and bright lights and all of that when we're posting on social media, but they don't see
Oh
the
yeah.
like the 4 o'clock, the 4 a.m. bus calls, the bad, after show food, or all you have is pizza. You have room service, which is like chicken tenders, whatever. So yeah, it's just navigating, but it's fun. I wouldn't change it for nothing. This is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And when people like they say, you're living the dream. I'm like, yeah, I am really living the dream. I'm living my
Yeah.
dream. I am truly acknowledging that I'm living my dream because this is exactly what I told my dad when he asked me, what do you want to do in life? I want to
Yeah.
be an internationally touring musician, internationally known.
That's what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing.
I love it.
Accomplished it.
What
Yep.
with all the experience and all the people that you've worked with and just the skills that you have now, if you were to like go back to whether it be your 8-year-old self, whatever age you were when you started to get into piano and like knew that this was really what you wanted to do, what advice would you give yourself? There was like one thing you could say or one piece of advice, or what would that be?
Hmm. Wow. What advice would I give myself? Oh man. I don't
To like
know.
that just sparked the passion for it, that like has no idea what's to come yet or if it's gonna come, what would that, or what do you wish someone told you? I guess you could also frame
I
the
mean,
question.
the one advice I would give myself is save your money. Save your money because adulting isn't easy.
No, it sure ain't. It sure ain't.
I think it would be more on a financial aspect is, financial literacy. I think it's so underrated.
Yep,
It is so underrated. And
yep.
I think, and it's underrated on purpose too.
Yeah, they
I
don't
didn't
want.
want that. I tell my wife this all the time. This is like my nutshell philosophy of government.
Mhm,
They want to keep you sick, they want to keep you stupid, and they want to keep you broke.
mhm.
That's how they control you.
I
So so once I came up with that, I was like, ah, I
yeah,
understand. I understand why they do this and why they do that. Because that's how they control
yeah.
people. By
Well, it's
keeping you
going
sick, broke, and what was the third one? Sick, broke, and
stupid.
stupid.
It goes back to what you were saying, and this is a conversation for a whole nother day. But it goes back to what you were saying about the medical system earlier, and I don't know if we caught this when we were recording or if this was before, but
Yeah.
um there's a lot of things that, I hate to say it, but the medical industry, or I could even say like stuff like cancer, is like a $1 billion industry, right? Like there's a lot of things that we don't know, or a lot of people who have found things out where we don't know where they are anymore. And sometimes it really just comes down to like what you're thinking about, right? And that, talking about mindset and everything that I do with my dad, but everything that we live every single day. When you're in the hospital and they tell you that you're sick or they tell you that you're not doing well, um, they often, like, say you're on like your last few months of your life, they often give you like a timeline, right? And sometimes people out that live that by a little bit, but very often they are anticipating that date, right? And so when you have that in your head, you're almost like talking about manifesting again. You're preparing yourself for that and you're getting yourself ready, and your body starts to listen
Yeah.
to what your mind's saying, right? And so I always try to like really justify the importance of mindset, because I think, I don't know if you know the full story with my dad being in the hospital, but his heart function was down to 9%, his ejection fraction. And usually people, like my mom had a friend, I think 2 months after the whole hospital trip started, she had a friend with an ejection fraction of 10% who passed away. And so like my dad, he was told by the doctors, like, you could drop any day. He was told, like, we don't know how you survived those plane rides or how you're even smiling right now. Like he was told so many different things by the doctors, and like they had to be really stern with him because
He's Pete Fry.
he's a very lucky go happy guy, right? Like he doesn't take things seriously sometimes, and sometimes that ignorance is bliss, because like you don't want to convince yourself that what they're saying about sickness and whatever is true, because your brain starts to listen after a while. But no, I truly think if he didn't have the mindset that he did, and he didn't practice, like he wouldn't say the words heart failure, would not say those words, wouldn't let the doctor say them to him, like would not let them. I truly think all of those little things contributed to the fact that he just took his first plane ride in a year, right? Like to Montreal, and like
Wow.
obviously getting better every single day. So
Yeah.
yeah, obviously,
I
yes,
mean,
the hospital attributed to him healing and getting his ablation and all of that has helped, but
Yeah.
I truly think his
But it
mindset.
starts here. It starts here.
Yeah.
It has to start here. It has to start from yourself, convincing yourself that it's mind over matter.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. It's that's a crazy story about your dad. I mean, it brought me back to 1998 during the ice storm. I was I was in the hospital during the ice storm.
hmm
I was in ICU, and the doctor told my mom the doctor told my mom I was in ICU for hold on, what Jesus. I was in a coma.
Wow.
I was overworking myself. This was my grad year in college. And again, okay, I'm going all over the place. My piano teacher had told me that I could get into McGill University, that I was good enough to audition to get in. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So shout out to my teacher, Tilden Webb. He lives out in Vancouver now. He put that in my brain that I could get in at the beginning of the semester, which was in September. So once he told me that, I put everything in my body to prepare myself so I would have a good audition. The audition was in March or April. The, I was overworking. I was working at HMV at the time. I was working
Okay.
like 30 hours. I was practicing like, who knows, like 5, 6 hours after school at Viney College. And I was a full-time student. So anyways, I overburnt myself. December, early December, I got myself sick, ended up in the hospital. Came out the hospital maybe a few days later. I went back to the same routine. I got myself sick again right after
Yeah.
Christmas. This was like December 27th. I got into a coma.
Wow.
Ice storm hits. I woke up from my coma January 1st, right after midnight. I don't know what woke me up. Maybe it was the TV in the ICU that woke me up, the whole, Happy New Year thing. I don't know if that woke me up, but it woke me up. And I saw a nurse sitting right there. I said, "What date are we?" She said, "January 1st." I said, "Where are my parents?" She said, "My parents had just left." Um, so she hands me the phone. I call my parents. I call my mom, and they were halfway home. She was bawling because she didn't expect me to wake up
Yeah.
so early because the doctor said I was going to be in a coma for maybe another week.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they came back. All this to say that, so when I woke up from that coma, the only thing I could think of was my piano audition to get into McGill. So I was like, oh my God, I need to get better. I need to get better because I need to practice. I need to practice.
Yeah.
So I got out the hospital. I went through therapy because I had to learn how to walk again. I
Yeah.
went through
Yeah.
therapy, um, got back into my routine. Obviously, like I wasn't working as much anymore, but I prepared myself for the audition. Obviously, I got into McGill. Um, but all this to say, to go back to your story of mindset when you're sick, I've been through comas. I've been through pulmonary. I think I had 3 pulmonary embolisms.
Wow.
That's why I
Wow.
say, like, I'm on borrowed time, girl. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, life is too short.
I agree.
Every day I wake up and I feel like, not that I need to accomplish something, but I'm here for a bigger purpose. God has kept me here for a reason, and I'm here for a bigger purpose. So
Yeah.
even at this stage of my career, I feel like I still have goals. I still have things that I want to contribute.
Yeah.
Um, which one of them is I'm working on a documentary.
Ooh.
I'm working on a documentary about history of Black composers,
Wow.
composers of African descent in classical music. There's a
Wow.
whole history of Black composers in the last 3 centuries. that people don't know about. I didn't even know about them. And I
Yeah.
studied classical for like 10 years. And I wasn't even told about them. So my goal now, and the first time I heard about a Black composer was in 2019.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
In 2019.
Wow.
So ever since that day, I was like, I gotta use my power and my leverage and my platform to let the next generation know about this because there's some beautiful, beautiful classical music that have just been marginalized and just put
Yeah.
on the shelf
Wow.
because,
Well, we're excited to hear that and see that.
yeah, yeah, I'm
That's
really
really
excited about it.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm just going around the world when I tour with, Madonna, Christina, whoever, and I check out the cities and I look up all these cities. I'm a Steinway artist as well.
Hmm.
So I try to see where there's a Steinway gallery, Steinway
Yeah.
showroom, and I'll call them up and I'll just go perform there.
Yeah.
I'll go perform all this music written by Black composers. And literally
Wow.
I've done it in Dubai, I've done it in Japan, and to see all these people with different cultures that are just amazed at this history when I tell
Hmm.
them about it, it's just really encouraging for me to, you know, pursue this goal of putting out this documentary.
Wow.
So I'm really grateful that I have a team that's really that believes in it, that supports it, and
Yeah.
yeah, we're just moving along. We're just getting this,
That's amazing.
working on this.
I love creatives because there's no stopping at what they create. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah,
creating
you
constantly.
got to allow yourself to create too.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's, and
There's
also
still some aspect of me that I'm not allowing myself that I need to allow myself to create. Like a lot of people are asking me, like, do you write your own classical music? And I'm like, no, 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 no. But I need to allow myself to do it. And I'm just not
Yeah.
there yet. Because for one, I'm so busy learning the classical music, these pieces written, that I feel like I I don't even have enough time to do that because
Yeah.
there's so much beautiful works out there that I just want to be able to record and perform that I'm not even thinking about writing.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because all this stuff is just amazing.
Yeah.
But
well, Rick,
I just have to allow myself to do it.
Yeah. It really takes just like shutting out the noise and just saying, I can do this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I um I like to paint, but I can't plan my paintings because if I plan them, then I fixate on little things and I it just doesn't look great. But if I like shut out all the noise and I say, you know what, I'm just gonna see what happens, then usually something beautiful comes out of it, right? But I
Nice.
like that's one of those situations where if I try to like control the outcome, then my creativity gets lost and I get too
Mm,
focused on becoming a perfectionist. So
yeah,
yeah, sometimes you really just gotta like shut out those voices and say, no, you know what, I can
and
do
just let it
this.
go.
Yeah.
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 Hey, just work with the craft. And also, thank you so much, Ricky, for being so vulnerable with us and like, being really open with your story. I know it's a hard thing to talk about sometimes, but like the fact that you're this open and you're this growth minded is really inspiring because also like for ourselves we're our vibe is all about the growth, the mindset, and it's so refreshing talking to someone who also embodies that.
Mhm.
Which leads me to our final question, which is like our staple for all of our podcast guests. Uh,
Even though we rebranded, we're
no, we
keeping it.
rebranded, it, but it still stays the same because again, we still think it carries the same energy. Which is what does embodiment mean to you?
Oh yeah, I remember that question. From listening to your other episodes. What does embodiment mean to me? Embodiment to me means number one, being present. Going back to that again, being in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
The most successful and powerful people in the world are people who are able to be present in the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I like
embodying,
that's really powerful. I like that.
yeah, yeah. It's being present. You would not believe the power of being present, and even breathing, appreciating breathing, the breath, embodying the action of breathing. We take it for granted.
I agree.
And I've been doing a lot of breath work. I've been doing a lot of box breathing,
Yep.
especially even during my hockey games when I feel like I can't go on, and I'm like, mindset.
Gotta
I was telling you
reset.
the other day, Ashley,
Yeah.
I won 3 out of 4 games in the tournament, and 3 of them were shutouts.
Yeah.
And especially like the final of that game, I was tired because it was 4 games in one day. But I was telling myself, convincing my brain, you're not tired, you're not tired, you're not tired, you're not tired.
You
And
know
I
what?
literally told myself that like maybe 40 times.
I have feedback for you. I instead of saying you're not tired, because when you say that you still picture tired, switch it.
Yeah,
I feel energized.
yeah. And that's
Or
something in your dad's book. I know,
yeah,
I know.
yeah,
Say the positive instead of the negative.
yeah.
But
But
I just, for me,
either
I
way, if
just
it
felt
works,
like
it works.
because for me, I felt like I'm always convincing myself, not convincing myself, I'm always worried that I'm tired
Yeah,
because I'm just taught that, because of sickle cell, you're gonna get tired.
yeah.
Because of,
And it goes
so I'm
back to
always
that.
worried about it,
Yeah,
especially like down the stretch, third period is like, it's go time.
yeah,
So at that moment there, I had to say, convince myself that I'm not. But
yeah.
I know that that's not what your dad says in the book.
No,
You
I,
got
you
to say
know
the
what?
positive. Don't say the negative. Say the positive.
As long as you are seeing success from what you're doing, that's all that matters, right? And
Yeah,
as long
and we
as
won.
you
We
feel
won the game.
energized, yeah,
But to go back to your question, man, embodiment is just like, yeah, it's just being present, embodying everything that, everything that that you practice,
yeah,
everything that all your habits, your daily habits, all of that, you're embodying in that to go about your day for your next day. You're preparing yourself for the next day, for the next year, for the next 10 years, where
mm-hmm,
your actions that you're doing now at the present moment will affect your future,
mm-hmm, yeah,
your present and your future. So that's what that means to me. Um, you look at the Kobe's of the world, you look at the LeBrons of the world, the best, you look at the best performers in the world, they're thinking about that moment,
mm-hmm,
present time. And you could tell that they're embodying everything that they worked for that present moment with
mm-hmm,
this one shot.
yeah, yeah. I know, you know what? I really like that. I really like that. And I think it's, we take the present moment for granted sometimes, right?
Because we're so worried about the future or even the past.
Yeah. And that was, I laughed earlier when Mano said that quote because I wrote it in my book. And it's Lao Tzu. And he says people who live in the future are anxious, people who live in the past are depressed, and people who live in the present moment are at peace. So I
Master
laughed when he
Way.
said that because I'm usually the one who says it. But
I
um,
remember one of you guys said it in the part two, the 12
yeah,
rules of karma.
yeah. I probably said it, or he probably said
Yeah,
Ashley says this all the time.
yeah.
But
Oh, but you guys just cut out a little bit. Oh,
um,
you're back.
I
hello. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time because like obviously we've chatted here and there, but to be able to sit down and like have a deep, genuine conversation and just learn more about you has been super insightful. And I think
Thank you.
just to know that like the little things that maybe we're practicing every day or the little things that we think about, like somebody who's touring the world and playing internationally is also thinking about those things and working on those things every day. So I truly appreciate you being open with us and sharing that stuff with us. And yeah, I love talking to you. Like this was awesome.
This is
And it was
fun.
so
I say
and it was a
what? Say
pleasure to
what?
meet
Say
you.
that again.
It was a
You,
pleasure to meet you.
Uh,
I'm so happy
oh, thank you.
I finally got to meet you. Ashley's been talking saying so much about you, but yeah, thank you again for coming on. It's a really
Thank you guys for having me.
also, where can people find you if they would like to find you on
great
social
question, Mano.
media? Where should people go?
All across the board, IG, Facebook, Threads. It's Rickey Pageot, my full name. Rickeypageot.
You know what I just realized as you said that out
I
loud?
also have a website,
Oh,
Pageot88.com.
okay.
Nice.
You know what I realized is, and sorry, this is me being a little humorous, but um, when you spelt out your name, have you ever heard the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme song?
I don't know if I have.
You could make a parody of it with your name because it goes Mickey Mouse. You could do it with
Oh,
Rick.
nice. The one that I've heard all the time is, "Oh, Ricky, you're so fine. You're so fine. You love my
Oh
Yeah.
life,
yeah, that one
Ricky."
too.
That's the one I've heard all the time.
Um,
But I'll check out the Mickey Mouse theme song. Is it the theme song? Mickey
Mickey
Mouse
Mouse Clubhouse, I'm pretty
Clubhouse.
sure. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once wasn't like Britney Spears on that show? Like Christina Aguilera? Is it
I
that
don't know.
show?
I actually don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were. Mickey
Maybe.
Mouse Clubhouse. I think.
Maybe. Yeah, I think it was a few celebrities on there. I forget though.
Justin, Christina, and Britney.
Yeah.
I think that's what
I'm
they
gonna
were
have
on.
to go and look into that now and figure that out. Okay. Okay, well,
Awesome, guys.
you
Well,
guys are
keep up the great
listening.
work. You guys
Sorry.
are awesome. Keep up the great work. You guys are awesome. This was a great conversation because most of the time I'm talking about music related, even though I did talk about music related stuff today, but to
Yeah.
have an emphasis on mindset and the
Yeah.
power of the mind and the power of attraction and all that stuff. That's really cool stuff that I love talking about.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, and I'm sure we'll have you on here again and
I'd love to. Let
talk
me know
about
when.
it more.